Hi, my name is Sarah Rodenbacher, and I'm doing this video for week 6 of RDG 281 Children's Literature. I did the book When the Earth Shakes, Earthquakes, Volcanoes, and Tsunamis by Simon Winchester. Simon Winchester studied geology at Oxford and has written for many noted journals like the National Geographic as well as the Smithsonian. Incidentally, this book he was writing was for the Smithsonian, and several of his books have been on the New York Times bestseller list, including this one. I chose this book because I liked that it was towards the older end of children's literature, ages 10 and up, and it incorporates many pictures from Mr. Winchester's journeys. This is a book that is all about, you guessed it, earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanoes. All things that crash, rumble, and roll. This book starts with a discussion about the history of geology and how tectonic plates drift around on a nice bed of magma, and how this moving, called continental drift, affects both rock formation as well as earthquakes and volcanoes. He talks about how this is in the beginning so that he can clearly build on it to create the reader's better understanding of this topic. Some fun facts that I found out was, number 1, Mr. Winchester talks about how when two plates join and rub shoulders with each other, or move up and down, beautiful ranges of mountains are formed. He's talking about tectonic plates. The second fun fact is that the San Andreas fault line is an almost completely straight line that is 700 miles long and is the longest fault line in the world. The third fact is that there are 65 plus tectonic plates, so more than 65, which is a lot when you think about it. The fourth fact is that volcanoes are formed in a process called subduction, which I thought was cool because it's when the fault lines are next to each other and then one goes down, and then this one melts down here and the magma is formed, and then it creates a volcano. The fifth fact is that the San Francisco earthquake of 1906 was so large and destructive that the earth moved more than 18 feet, which doesn't seem like a lot until you think about how the earth only really moves 1 to 2 inches per year, and moving 18 feet in one geographical event is a big deal. The sixth fact is that Krakatoa's eruption, which is one of the largest eruptions ever in the history of ever, lowered the temperature of the entire world by 2 degrees, which was caused by the dust from the explosion obscuring the sun for the entire world, which is a lot. The seventh fact is that 75% of the Earth's volcanoes are located in what's called the Ring of Fire. That means there are 450 active and visible volcanoes in this ring, which is a lot of volcanoes. And bonus fact, the word tsunami comes from the Japanese word for harbor waves. And this word was named, this event was named, from when this giant wave comes from the ocean and crashes through the harbor, which was supposed to be a safe place, and waves aren't supposed to be there, but in this event, waves are, and they create a lot of destruction. To evaluate Simon Winchester's book, his research is both thorough and very accurate. Much of what he discusses is something that he's heard about firsthand or learned about firsthand, and what he doesn't have to back up in his own words, he uses other words and cites it in text, which is really cool because you can just back it up right there. This is a factual chapter book with a combination of both expository and narrative structure. Mr. Winchester conveys a lot of information with a fairly chatty tone that's very engaging. And he also wraps in personal stories to keep the reader's interest, because you never quite know what story he's going to pull out next. He's gone to a lot of really cool places and has a lot of things to share. His sequential organization starts with his brief history of geology, then flows to earthquakes and how they happen, and how earthquakes affect volcanoes, and how volcanoes and earthquakes work together to create tsunamis. So it just builds right on top of each other in a very sequential and orderly fashion. He has a very descriptive style, and he uses all sorts of organizational tools. Some of them are in text, like his drawings, diagrams, and vocabulary and idea explanations, which are located in green boxes. and are super helpful to explain some of the more complicated scientific ideas. And he does a really good job of explaining them and going more in depth so the reader knows exactly what he's talking about. And he also has a very thorough table of contents and index, as well as source notes and places to do more research, which is located in the back of the book. And I thought it was a really nice addition for the kids who are really interested in this. There is books and online journals and cool websites to check out to just get a more in-depth understanding for the kids who want to learn more. So all in all, this book, When the Earth Shakes, Earthquakes, Volcanoes, and Tsunamis by Simon Winchester, was both an informative and very fun read, and I would highly recommend it.